Watford's 3 points against Sheffield United on Tuesday was a hugely welcome result after almost 2 winless months. But their away form still worrying, 8 without a win going into this one at Barnsley. And they almost went behind when Nathan Doyle let fly just after the break. Barnsley's Iceland international Emil Hallfredsson still had plenty to do when he was picked out by Andy Gray, but he got the better of Adrian Mariappa and then Scott Loach to put Barnsley ahead on 55 minutes. Barnsley's day was marred by a late lunge by Ryan Shotton on Lloyd Doyley. That earned Shotton his second red card of the season, but Barnsley still picked up their third win in 4, and on this form they're a decent bet for a playoff place. Bristol City's Gary Johnson was hoping his side could right the wrongs of their last match at Ashton Gate, a 6-0 thrashing by Cardiff. Johnson's team had won just 1 of their last 7 home games, and they went behind early in the second half, David Bell scoring his first league goal of the season against the run of play. City were forced to replace top scorer Nicky Maynard soon after half-time, but his replacement nearly grabbed the equaliser, Danny Haynes' pace catching out the Coventry defence. Bristol City looked to be heading for their 3rd home defeat of the campaign until the ball broke to substitute David Clarkson. The former Motherwell forward calmly finishing for his first goal since the opening day of the season. Clarkson had a chance to win it in the final moments, but he couldn't find the finish, and Johnson's side dropped further off the playoff pace.
Long wins it in the air. McAnuff brought down surely. Well, that'll be a free kick to Reading. Well won in the air by Sean Long. Chambers with the challenge. Howard stands over it, so does McAnuff. It might be Joby McAnuff. It is Brian Howard though, and that's an excellent save from Sullivan. Well, the former Scottish international having to stretch high to just tip that one over with a fingertip save. And that free kick would have crept in just underneath the bar. Griffin. Howard trying to get away from Martis. Able to get the cross in. It's a decent header, and that is Shane Long with the opening goal for Reading. He scored at Liverpool in the FA Cup, and he has now got the opener at the Keepmoat Stadium. And it owed so much to the creativity of Brian Howard. He had Martis for company, but suddenly he was away. And what a good cross in that was. Caracan going for the header. It was Long who met it. Sullivan is beaten, and Reading lead at Doncaster by 1-0. Pulled nicely here for Doncaster. Across the face of the Reading goal. What a spectacular save from Federici, and offside in the end. Chambers firing it in from distance. Federici equal to the task. Everybody seemed to stop for just a moment or so. Half cleared away. How about that for a shot? Chambers drives it across the area. And it's a really decent opportunity for Doncaster. Chambers with the run. It hit Mills, and the shot really was a poor one in the end. Brian McDermott, 20 minutes plus stoppage time away from recording his 2nd successive championship win since he was appointed permanently to the post as Reading manager by the chairman, Sir John Medeski. Given away. Long. Goes for goal! And that would have been a spectacular second for Shane Long had it not been for Neil Sullivan. Cut out by Church. Releasing Long. Sullivan at full stretch to tip it over. Well, at 2-0 would have been very difficult to see a way back into this match for Doncaster Rovers. Church. It's Sean Long, lays it on a plate here for Howard. And Reading get a 2nd goal. And is that all 3 points for the visitors? And Doncaster were caught short in numbers at the back. almost 3 against 3 here. And it was so easy for Brian Howard. Church trying to set up Long, who then very unselfishly lined up Howard. Oh, nice pass from Chambers. That really was a good ball. It split open the defence. The block was by Mills. It's a penalty. Now, what colour card is it? It is red. The former Doncaster defender is dismissed on his return to the Keepmoat Stadium. He can claim all night it struck his chest, but that most definitely hits his arm. Now, this is a huge moment in this match. It is a goal. Billy Sharp gets his 11th of the season and gives hope to Doncaster Rovers. Federici goes the wrong way. Sharp striking it cleanly and clinically. Reading back in numbers. Oh, it's against the bar. Federici was beaten. And the frame of the goal saves Reading. Sharp gets away from Griffin. It's Billy Sharp. Gets a deflection. Federici with the save. Danger not over yet for Reading. O'Connor. Adam Federici just palming that one away acrobatically. Oster. Plenty of Doncaster Rovers players in the penalty area. Not properly cleared. Oster looking to loop it. Federici saves the day for Reading. Well, how close can you get? Corner kick cleared, and Reading hold on for a huge victory. Brian McDermott with 2 wins now out of 2 in the Championship since he got the Reading manager's job on a permanent basis.
Roy Keane and Gordon Strachan have both been busy in the January transfer window, with 7 new arrivals at the Riverside and 3 at Portman Road. But it was Keane's loan signings from former club Sunderland that made the early impact. Just 23 seconds gone when David Healy set up fellow forward Daryl Murphy for his first goal for 2 years. Ipswich could have extended their lead. Gareth McCauley was unlucky to see his header blocked by teammate Healy. From an almost identical position, Middlesbrough did manage to score in the second half. David Wheater heading his first league goal for 17 months. It made it 9 home draws from 15 games for Ipswich. Nottingham Forest fans were hoping to see their side bounce back after their first league defeat in 20 games last weekend. But Forest got back on track when they were awarded a controversial penalty in the 24th minute. Darren Pearce blocking a Dexter Blackstock shot with his arm, according to referee Trevor Kettle, despite the vehement protests of the Wednesday captain. Blackstock taking the penalty himself to give the home side the lead. Alan Irvine won the January Manager of the Month award for 4 wins from his first 5 games in charge. And his side were unlucky not to equalise when Darren Potter's free kick left Lee Camp stranded, the bar coming to the keeper's rescue. Luke Varney's rediscovered his scoring touch under his new boss, and it was the striker on loan from Forest's rivals Derby who drew his side level in the 73rd minute, his 3rd goal in 2 games. But Forest have been in fine form at the City Ground this season and made it 7 successive league wins there thanks to Blackstock's point-blank header. The striker turning in the rebound for his 11th goal of the season. With just 1 point from their last 6 matches, Peterborough's form could hardly be worse. And Jim Gannon got the start he was hoping for. Just 9 minutes had been played when the posh front 3 combined. Craig McHale-Smith supplied George Boyd, and Aaron McLean finished off the move, the transfer-listed striker's first goal of 2010. Queen's Park Rangers' recent form has hardly been better, and they were dealt a blow after an hour. Michaeli Ledgerwood stretched for an Alejandro Forlin pass, but he only succeeded in taking out Tommy Rowe, and Ledgerwood saw red. With 10 men, a recovery looked unlikely. With 9, even less so. Peter Ramage had already had a yellow card to his name when he made a similar challenge on Rowe with 8 minutes remaining. The second yellow was inevitable, and Peterborough were relieved to hold on for a debut win for their new boss. Struggling Plymouth took on a West Brom side who hadn't lost away from home in the league since September. But it was Argyle who dominated much of this one, Jamie Mackie going close. But the Championship's lowest scorers again struggled to find the net, and they were punished on 66 minutes. Simon Cox in the right place to turn in his 8th goal for the club. Graham Dorrans had scored 4 penalties in his previous 4 Albion matches. He was presented with a chance for number 5 when David McNamee took out fellow sub Luke Moore. Plymouth keeper David Stockdale had other ideas. The match was just entering stoppage time when Jerome Thomas launched into McNamee. Referee Steve Tanner wasn't impressed. Thomas was sent off, but West Brom held on for a scrappy win. When these two teams met in September, Palace boss Neil Warnock described the 4-0 home defeat as the biggest embarrassment of his career. But Cliff Burns somehow let Palace off the hook with an extraordinary miss at Glanford Park. Palace may have well-documented financial problems, but they did manage to hold on to top scorer Darren Ambrose in the transfer window. And Ambrose was given plenty of space to score his 14th goal of the season to put the Eagles ahead midway through the second half. Kieran Jalali had come on as a sub for Palace, and when he looked for a way behind the iron defence, his run was halted by Marcus Williams. Referee Paul Tierney controversially deemed it as an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, and Williams was sent off. But Scunthorpe's 10 men still threatened. David Murphin only played after passing a late fitness test, and the defender's first league goal for the club looked like earning his side a draw with 6 minutes to go. But Palace have shown resilience in the face of adversity. 3 minutes of added time had been played when Nathaniel Klein set up Neil Dans, a late winner for Crystal Palace. Derby travelled to Bramall Lane full of confidence after ending fierce rivals Nottingham Forest's long unbeaten league run last weekend. And Robbie Savage ensured they picked up where they left off with a spectacular strike, one he won't forget in a hurry. The first goal Sheffield United had conceded at home in 592 minutes of league football. As the Blades pushed for an equaliser, Jordan Stewart was unable to replicate Savage's long-range strike, but Henri Camara might have done better with a follow-up. Derby were denied a first win at Bramall Lane in 5 years when the ball fell to Derby-born Lee Williamson deep into added time. The midfielder securing the Blades' first point in 3 games and denied Derby their first back-to-back league wins of the season. If you want to see goals, and why wouldn't you, the Liberty Stadium hasn't been the ideal venue this season. Matches involving Swansea have yielded the fewest goals of any team in the Football League. But they went close to an opener against Preston, Gorka Pintado unable to make the most of Nathan Dyer's good work. Swansea made David Cottrell the club's record signing during the transfer window in an effort to boost their goal tally. And the £600,000 striker showed why with his first league goal for the club. The Swans started the second half strongly and doubled their lead 3 minutes after the break. Cottrell again involved, his free kick finding defender Ashley Williams. Preston never looked like getting back into the game, and the home side almost added another late on. Cardiff-born Cottrell with the effort. It wasn't far away. 2-0 to the Swans.
Gillingham are the only side in League One without a win on the road this season, and they would not have been overly confident of ending that dreadful run at Brentford after conceding an early penalty. Darren Dennehy's back pass there to Alan Julian, bringing down Charlie McDonald. McDonald dusted himself down and scored from 12 yards. 23 minutes later, and more suicidal defending led to a second penalty for the Bees. This time it was Toumani Diarra who was upended. McDonald made no mistake from the spot again to secure his first double in a match for more than a year. Gillingham have picked up only 3 points on the road all season and have conceded more goals on their travels than any other side in the division. Miles Weston was the latest to take advantage of their generous defence as he netted his 8th goal of the campaign, the 34th goal conceded on the road by the Gills. It was a case of damage limitation in the second half, but Gillingham's away woes continued as Brentford added a fourth. In an afternoon of Keystone Cops defending, Weston's shot struck the post before rebounding off the goalkeeper and into the goal.
Exeter have suffered the proverbial hangover since their season champagne moment when they beat Leeds 4 games ago. But Paul Tisdale will take comfort from another battling display. But once again they had to come from behind against the Southampton side, who went ahead when Adam Lallana fired home his 13th of the season, ending a 12-match barren spell without a goal. But 4 minutes after half-time, defender Matt Taylor powerfully headed home Scott Goulburn's corner for his 4th of the season to give the Grecians a valuable point for the second week in a row. And the home side nearly snatched a vital win at the death when Bertrand Kozic's strike came back off the upright. Southampton have lost just twice in 26 games, but it'll be hats off to Tisdale if he keeps Exeter out of the bottom 4 come May.
Along with Leeds, Huddersfield were the only side in League One beginning the day unbeaten at home, but Carlisle's Danny Livesey and Kevin Hurst gave them early scares. The chances of Huddersfield making it a total of 17 home league games without defeat were helped when they took the lead at the start of the second half. Anthony Pilkington managing to get enough power on his header. The Cumbrians looked certain to score themselves from Scott Dobie's header, keeper Alex Smithers with superb reflexes. But they weren't to be denied. Ben Marshall, on loan from Stoke, secured Carlisle's 6th away draw of the season with a goal 7 minutes from time. Huddersfield had a late penalty shout, Danny Drinkwater going to ground, but the referee wasn't interested and it ended with honours even.
The O's were never going to repeat their midweek heroics once this moment of madness saw them fall behind to a determined Seagull side. Glenn Murray profiting from a dreadful error by keeper Jamie Jones. Orient Scott McLeish then showed why strikers often can't defend as he headed this corner onto his own bar. Brighton remained in front until the 53rd minute when Michelle Kuipers decided to show some solidarity with O's counterpart Jones in what should be called the keeper's disunion. The Dutchman left with no alternative but to handle the back pass after slipping over at a crucial time, and the resulting free kick saw the ball eventually fall to McLeish, who squeezed home his 11th goal of the season to leave Orient unbeaten in 5. MK Dons travelled to Stockport with a view to breaking into the top 6. County, on the other hand, have more pressing concerns at the other end of the table. But Stockport broke the deadlock with Plymouth loanee George Donnelly scoring his first senior goal. Keeper Willie Guerre getting a hand to that one, but was to make a better fist of things moments later. When debutant Donnelly was brought down in the box by Dan Woodards, it was Donnelly who stepped up, only to see the Frenchman turn his spot kick onto the bar. A crucial save and costly for Stockport as the Dons never looked back. The visitors drawing level when Jermaine Easter scored his 17th of the season against one of his former clubs. And it was another former Hatter, Aaron Wilbraham, who secured his first goal in 15 games with a lovely low curler to put MK Dons into the lead early in the second half. And then it was left to Spurs loanee winger Andros Townsend to open his account after Easter turned provider with an exquisite chip. Townsend taking his time before making it 3-1 to condemn Stockport to a 10th home defeat without a win in 16, whilst the Dons made it 7 wins on the road for their manager Paul Ince. The beat of the Swindon drum has been a loud one this season, with Billy Painter the division's player of the month for January. But Painter inadvertently ended up defending, blocking Danny Ward's goal-bound effort. But when do strikers like to share the limelight? Teenager John Joe Shelvey had the Addicks' best chance of the first half, rattling the Swindon crossbar. Well, the breakthrough came from a well-worked second-half corner. Painter flicking on for Kevin Amankwa to steer home his 3rd of the season. Swindon missed out on 3 points at Southend last week by conceding 2 late on. This must have felt like deja vu. Dion Burton finding Nicky Bailey, and the Charlton skipper grabbing his side a 7th away draw 3 minutes into added time. A tense relegation 6-pointer at Prenton Park, and it was visitors Oldham who came away with a vital victory in their battle to avoid the drop. Pavel Abbott is the only Oldham player to find the net in 2010, and that remains the case after he glanced home his 8th of the season. but with heavy fog rolling in from the Mersey, Tranmere did everything but level. Charlie Barnett ran at the Latics defence before crossing for fellow substitute Marvin Sordell to force a superb double save from keeper Dean Brill.
The Bristol Rovers chairman admitted that he'd never been as embarrassed as he was on Tuesday when his side conceded 5 at Leyton Orient, so there was plenty of work for coach Paul Trollope. He shored up his defence and saw his side come closest to opening the scoring. Mark Wright supplied the pass, from which Stuart Campbell's shot was well saved. But it was Walsall who almost won the match in the dying moments, as Clayton McDonald connected well from a corner, only to be denied by the crossbar. Walsall unbeaten in 3, but they've drawn all 3 of them. Wycombe have not been able to blow their own trumpet in front of their home supporters of late, as they came into this match having lost their last 3 games at Adams Park. And 16 minutes in, they found themselves behind again. Andrew Wells set up the goal, laying the ball to Dean Bowditch, who netted for the first time in 7 games. There were 3 former Glovers in the Wycombe team, and one of them, Matt Harrell, was able to celebrate with a goal against his ex-colleagues as he headed in Dean Keats's free kick. But parity lasted only 2 minutes before Yeovil regained the lead. Gavin Tomlin and Sean McDonnell combined to set up Bowditch. His shot was only parried and Welsh was on hand to slot in. That galvanised Terry Skibberton's team, and they added 2 further goals in the space of 7 minutes. Owain Tudor-Jones, on loan from Swansea, bent a free kick in. And the game was well and truly wrapped up with more than 20 minutes left, as a long ball forward put Bowditch in the clear, and he made no mistake with his 6th goal of the season to give the Glovers an impressive win. Accrington are one of the form sides in the division and are on their best run since returning to league football, here looking for a 3rd straight league win after a good run in the Cup. Tom Lees coming closest early on for the home side. Morecambe have not beaten their Lancashire rivals since entering the league, but it looked as if they were about to get that monkey off their backs when David Artell popped up to score on 17 minutes, his first goal since August. The Morecambe fans lapping it up. The home side was soon back in it though, after Michael Symes' good play had seen his effort cleared off the line. Reds midfielder Bobby Grant made it 1 apiece with his 14th goal of the campaign. Artell then scored his 2nd of the afternoon, putting the visitors back in front after 54 minutes. Anything you can do, I could do better, or at least match it, felt Grant as he equalled Artell's brace with a sweet free kick. Jimmy Ryan then completed a great turnaround victory for Accrington with a goal of the highest calibre to win any match. It meant a 3rd straight win, and they've now managed 7 victories in their last 8 league games. Barnet have been on a terrible run of form without a win in 14 games. Quite the reverse for Aldershot, who'd only lost twice in their last 12 matches. Albert Adoma coming close in the opening exchanges. Into the second half, and Micah Hyde gave the Bees the vital breakthrough on 55 minutes after a great run and cross by Adoma. He headed home from close range, Hyde scoring his first league goal in nearly 5 years. Earlier this week, John O'Flynn turned down a £100,000 move to Shrewsbury, and the home fans were glad he chose to stay, as he fired home Barnet's 2nd goal to put distance between them and the shots. O'Flynn hadn't managed a goal in 9 games, but he was soon celebrating his 2nd of the day with this header near the end. A great result for Barnet and a great sense of relief for the manager Ian Hendon. 27 points separated them, but there was nothing to choose between 2nd top and 3rd bottom at Dean Court. Mark Yates has not lost away from home since returning to Cheltenham as manager, and his side, through Justin Richards, had the best chance in the first half. The closest the home side came to breaking the deadlock was in injury time. Brett Pittman denied an 18th goal of the season by Scott Brown.
This game probably sounded the death knell for Bradford boss Stuart McCall's reign after 3 years in charge. Last weekend's win at Torquay provided a stay of execution, but after a largely forgettable first half, Bury applied the mortal blow 7 minutes after half-time. Andy Morrell scoring his 6th goal of the season to keep the Shakers on course for promotion with a 5th win on the bounce. Bradford had a golden opportunity to claim a point just before the end. Peter Thorne heading agonisingly the wrong side of the post. The final whistle saw Stuart McCall applaud the home fans and then state it's probably time for someone else to take charge. City without a win at Valley Parade since September. McCall may well hail his own taxi when he meets with joint chairman Julian Rose. Port Vale were looking to extend their unbeaten away run to 9 games after their first ever league visit to Burton, which would have been their best record in more than 40 years. Lee Collins' early block was just what they needed. Burton's fluctuating home form seems to be finding some consistency, as Jacques Mahoma netted on 39 minutes from close range, the Congolese's 3rd goal of the season. In a match of few chances, that's how it finished, as Paul Pescasolido's side held out for the win and leapfrogged their opponents in the league standings. 4.5 months, though, since Vale fans have returned home empty-handed. Chesterfield had conceded just 1 goal in their last 4 games prior to the visit of Lincoln, who had injury problems with just 2 fit centre-backs available. The deadlock was broken at Saltergate when Peterborough Dominic Green took aim from long range and fired home this beauty for his first goal for the Spireites. And Chesterfield ensured back-to-back victories when they doubled their advantage. It was centre-back Robert Page who deftly found the equally shaven-headed Barry Conlon. The Irishman nodding home from close range for 2-0, and his 2nd for the club since arriving from Grimsby. The Imps were back in with a sniff thanks to a fumble from keeper Tommy Lee. Moses Swabu was inch perfect with this delicate effort for the visitors on 65 minutes. The young defender's first in professional football. Chesterfield, though, holding on for victory with the division's best home record of 11 wins. Northampton have this week offered a package holiday to Tenerife for season ticket holders who buy next year's early. Some of the fans might have wished they'd packed their bags already after witnessing Adebayo Akinfenwa's miss. John Johnson, though, kept the Cobblers' great run going, the on-loan Middlesbrough man unleashing a powerful drive to score the decisive strike. 10 games unbeaten, the Cobblers players dancing a jig of delight, and Ian Sampson richly deserving his Manager of the Month award.
Steve Staunton hopes there'll be no need to get back into the league again, and he's displayed a knack of recruiting gems from his native island. Tag Vassell, who has a degree in botanical science, was signed from Shamrock Rocks in January, and he put the home side ahead against Rotherham. Darlington was set on their way to a league double over the promotion chasers 7 minutes into the second half. Maud Diop setting up Gareth Waite for his first goal for the club. It was only the 2nd time this season that Darlington have scored more than once in front of their own supporters, but there might be life left in them yet, and there could still be much to celebrate.
Notts County followed up their midweek FA Cup victory over Wigan with a 4th successive league win. Kasper Schmeichel's long punt set Lee Hughes free to score from a tight angle past Nick Colgan for his 22nd of the season and his 150th league goal. Grimsby haven't won since September, and the nearest they came to avoiding an 8th home defeat was when Nathan Jarman's overhead kick had Schmeichel scrambling. Not smart, John, with just 2 defeats in 23.
Just 2 points separated these teams coming into this match, and the last time Torquay won a league match it was against the Bulls on Boxing Day. But it was Canadian striker Gavin McCallum netting his 3rd goal in his last 2 matches who put Hereford ahead. Elliot Benyon attempted to improve Torquay's dire away form, but he found the wrong side of the woodwork. The story remains the same for United, seeing them win just 1 match in 14 league games on the road. The bad weather meant that this was the first weekend fixture at Moss Road since the 12th of December, but after the long wait came disappointment for the Macclesfield supporters. Craig Linfield missed an early chance for them. The only goal of the game came 9 minutes into the second half. Craig Disley cut inside before supplying the ball to Steve Leslie, who netted his 4th goal of the campaign to keep Shrewsbury well placed in the race for promotion.
A regulation victory for table-topping Rochdale, who made it 9 wins from 13. Chris Dagnall must have thought he'd given his side the lead, only to see his shot cleared off the line, for it to fall to the equally deadly Chris O'Grady, whose 16th goal ensured normal service resumed at Spotland after 8 minutes. Crewe were unlucky not to have been given a way back into the game before half-time. Substitute Byron Moore looked to have been brought down by Craig Dawson, but the referee Steve Rushton was unconvinced. Rochdale's first attack of the second half saw a moment to forget for young defender Matt Tootle. Under no pressure, he somehow managed to divert Chris O'Grady's cross into his own net. And but for Crewe keeper Steve Phillips, it would have been an even more convincing win. But Dale stay comfortably top.